I can help you out. I can help you out. I can help you out.
Hello, friends. Today we had a tragedy strike the central Michigan area. So in the Great Lakes Bay region where Life Church is located, we had a lot of rain, and as a result, a couple of dams have failed. And so a lot of families in several different cities have been forced to evacuate. And we're told that things are just kind of continuing to progress, that the rain hasn't stopped and that it hasn't gotten to its peak yet. So it's kind of a rough time in our area right now. There's lots of families in our church who are affected by this. And I know, like, many times, at least for me, I feel like I never know what really to do to help, because I'm not really in a position that I can offer physical help, and I don't necessarily know the answers or how to make the situation better, or even if I have the capabilities to do so. And so I don't know if you have ever dealt with that, if you've ever felt that, or had to watch a loved one go through something, or had to watch someone deal with something, or tragedy struck someone that you know, and there really wasn't much you could do in that moment and in that situation. It's kind of an awful feeling, because all we want to do is help. All we want to do is help because we know what it's like to experience that loss, to experience that pain. And so today there are many families that are dealing with that loss. And first, I just want you to know, if you're watching this video and the flood that's going on right now has affected you in any way, I'm so sorry. And I want you to know that I'm praying. My buddy Ian on our Life Church Facebook went live earlier today, letting everyone know that, you know, he's praying. So I know our church staff, we are praying, lifting you guys up. But to be unavailable to physically help or change the situation, or to even be in the situation where it's directly affecting you, but you can't control it. That's a tough space to be. It's a tough spot to be in. And I think it's tough no matter how long you've been walking with God. And we don't always know how to respond in those times. And this is definitely not a video of me saying that I figured it all out, because I haven't. I've walked through tragedy myself and walked with others through tragedy. And I can tell you that it doesn't matter how many times you've done it or how many times you've been there for someone who's going through it. It doesn't get any easier. I haven't figured out the secret ingredient. But one thing that I do know is that there's something that we are called as Christians to do in those times. So during what's going on with the coronavirus, and then right now what's going on here in mid-Michigan with the waters rising, we are called to be people who grieve with those who grieve and mourn with those who mourn. That's what Scripture tells us to do. In fact, I would say that Scripture carries it even further with the example that we see in Jesus. So whenever Jesus is walking the earth and doing ministry, Jesus gets word that his friend Lazarus has become sick. And then by the time he gets to where Lazarus is at, Lazarus has passed away. He's been dead. And so whenever he is come face to face with his friend's tomb and sees where he's buried, the shortest verse in the Bible, John chapter 11, verse 35, simply says, Jesus wept. And here's why that short verse is so extremely profound, and I hope that in some way is encouraging if today has been hard. We serve a God who knows intimately what it means to walk through loss and to walk through pain. You see, God is not this figment who is outside of what you and I are experiencing. But instead, it's the opposite of, he is a God who literally came down into the mess, who met us exactly where we are at, and knows full well what it means and what it looks like to experience loss. And his response in that time was, he cried. He wept. He broke down. And for you and I, man, that many times that's all we've got. When you're walking through that loss, that's all you can do, and it's okay. It's okay that that's all you can do. It's okay for us to grieve loss. It's okay for us to mourn. And for those of us who aren't directly affected but have people around us who we care about who are affected during those tragedies, the best thing that we can do for them is cry with them. Just be with them. There's nothing that we can say, there's nothing we can do that can change the weight of the loss. All we can do is be present with them through it, to remind them that they're not alone, that we're not going anywhere, that this isn't the end. To mourn with those who mourn and celebrate with those who celebrate. That's what we are called to do. And so I know it's hard, regardless of where you're at, whether you are experiencing a tragedy directly or you know someone who is. It's hard and it sucks. But God knows. He knows what it's like. He sympathizes with us. He knows. And imagine how we have this drive inside of us of when we know someone who's experiencing loss or pain, we want to fix it. Now, multiply that compassion and that love that you and I have for other people times a gazillion, and you're still not even halfway to God's desire to remove that pain and suffering from every single one of us. He does not want us to experience that. He doesn't want anyone to know what loss feels like. And that is the reason that he sent his son. Because he wants us to experience the joy and peace that comes only from being connected to our Heavenly Father. So for everyone who watches this video, I hope that it finds you safe. I hope it finds you and your family well. I want you to know that I'm praying, our church is praying. And the best thing that we can do for each other during this time, not just what's going on here in mid-Michigan, but around the world, the best thing that we can do for one another is support, pray for, and encourage. Send that message, make that phone call, make that connection. Remind someone today that they're not alone. Be the hands and feet of God. Don't just say that we know he's a God who sympathizes, but be someone who sympathizes. Make that connection. That is the best thing that you and I could ever do, to just simply be present with those who are dealing with a loss. And I promise, God is in the business of using pain, suffering, and loss in a way that only He can. So if you're dealing with loss today, it is not the end. God is not done. And I promise there's going to be a way that He will use this. And all you and I can do is trust in His timing and in His plan. So, let's trust God and let's support each other. That's my encouragement for you today. Stay safe. Don't isolate. And we will talk to you later this week. All right. Bye.
Call me up and you wanna be my friend. I'm the one you ride to.